So today what I wanted to do was talk about one of the Montreal Canadiens prospects that we really have not talked about in ages. Like, the last time we talked about this guy, I feel like it was years ago, back when he was actually drafted. If not, maybe sometime over the next few months, but either way, even though there are a ton of Canadiens prospects right now that are doing some good things, you've got the NCAA guys and Lane Hudson, Fowler's doing his thing. In the OHL, guess what? Florian Jacquet just wrapped up his season. He was doing pretty well too, but in this video, I wanted to go across the pond. Because in the 2024 Finnish Liiga Playoffs, there's one guy at the top of the entire point production race that happens to be Montreal territory. Today, we are heading over to Kalpa and talking about Oliver Kapanen. Now, we have made a few videos about him in the past, but those were so long ago that I wouldn't really blame you if you kind of needed a refresher as to what Kapanen is or how he plays. He's 20 years old, 6'1", 179, right-handed player, unsigned by the Montreal Canadiens, but drafted by them in the 2021 draft 64th overall. One of the things that made Kapanen super interesting, especially as a prospect 3 years ago, was the fact that one of his cousins is an NHL player. Kasperi Kapanen has had his fair share of time with the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Pittsburgh Penguins. Now he's on the St. Louis Blues, but Kasperi's cousin Oliver had his own profile as well. Now, the thing with Oliver Kapanen was, he doesn't really play the same style that Kasperi does. If you remember when Kasperi that was developing and having those early days with Pittsburgh and Toronto, the big thing about his game was that he was really fast. He was a speedster who got by and succeeded with his foot speed. The unfortunate part was, he was never really able to round out the rest of his game outside of his speed. His hands and mind couldn't keep up with his legs. He would frequently put himself out of dangerous scoring positions and not really have the best chances because he'd just skate right in, maybe take a shot and possession would be lost, and when he doesn't have the puck, he doesn't really put himself in the best areas. There was a lot of potential with Kasperi, and you could still say there is. I mean, he's 27 years old. He's not like a veteran just yet, but he never really panned out to what I think many people thought his ceiling could have been in the NHL. Oliver, though, does not have that same speed, but he's more so of a two-way guy, and that was always what he was projected to being, especially as a center. Kasperi was the speedy winger, and Oliver was more of a reliable, defensively minded two-way center. The Elite Prospects Scouting Report guide goes out there and talks about his offensive instincts, how his game is all instincts in the offensive zone, combined with lethal finishing skills from close and mid-range. He recognizes space well and takes advantage of even the slightest mistakes by the opposing players. He has some gravitational elements as a playmaker, being able to draw in pressure before dishing the puck to an open teammate. Now, this season, Oliver Kapanen, playing for Kalpa in the Liga, scored 34 points in 51 games played, 14 goals, 20 assists. As a guy who is 20 years old, this isn't really the most impressive numbers out there, like having a guy who is 3 years removed from his draft-eligible season being at a 30-point pace in 50 games. It's not like the most amazing thing in the world, but it's still something, especially for a guy taken in the 64th overall spot. That's not really any guarantee to being an NHL player. But the reason we're talking about Oliver Kapanen today is because when it comes to the Finnish Liiga Playoffs, which started up a few days ago, we have ourselves Kapanen literally leading the entire league in point production. He's tied with teammate Juuso Mäenpää for first in the Liga in playoff scoring. Oliver has himself 13 points in 9 games, 7 goals, and 6 assists. He's gone out there as the #1 goal guy this postseason and #1 in points. There are a few other guys that you could see actually here that are NHL property. Ville Koivunen, recently acquired by Pittsburgh in the Jake Guentzel trade, is 3rd in Finnish Liiga scoring. Viljami Marjala is a Buffalo Sabres prospect in the 8th overall spot. And when it comes to what Kapanen has done to put himself in this spot, plain and simple, he has just been really putting it together on the top line. Take a look at this article published on the Finnish Liiga's website. I translated this from Finnish into English, and I'll leave a link in the description if you want to go ahead and read this. But Oliver Kapanen is now dominating in the middle of Kalpa's super line. Kuopio now has a puck boom. I do not know what that means, but the article says this: Oliver Kapanen, 20 years old, got his game going after a difficult early season. When Juuso Mäenpää and Martias Kantner came to his sides, aka when they became his wingers, things fell into place. The next challenge is to topple the regular season winner, Tappara. This article is a really interesting one because it talks about the Kapanen family as a whole. It talks about Oliver's father, it talks about the other Finnish Liiga players that came out of this family, and then it talks about how Oliver Kapanen's Finnish Liiga start wasn't really too significant, how he had some points, but he wasn't really all too amazing. The article then talks, however, about the new line. The Super Line, which includes Kapanen, also has Juuso Mäenpää and Martias Kantner. The trio was put together after the Spengler Cup, and the trio has become one of the most dangerous lines in the entire Finnish Liiga. The roles have clicked into place, and the players' qualities support each other. Kapanen is a classic center type who is able to distribute the puck quickly to the nimble-footed Mäenpää. Kantner, on the other hand, has a world-class shot. "We haven't had too many passing games," Kapanen said. "In our line, everyone can do a little bit of everything, both playing and defending." Kapanen is on edge. The trio was able to create good goal-scoring chances from both direct attacks and exploits on the offensive end. The article then says that Kalpa's playoff this season has been challenged by Tampere and a few other teams out there, and it's been a pretty interesting run so far. Kalpa already showed their character in the opening game in Tampere by rising from a 1-3 deficit to victory. In the end, Ilves got only one victory and Kalpa advanced to the semifinals against the winner of regular season Tappara. According to Kapanen, though, the team's tight play was the key to winning these series. "We were rude enough in tight, and our goaltenders were also really good." The article ends off by saying this, that Kalpa's start to the season was special in that the changes were very small. No new attackers joined the team. Kapanen sees that the preservation of the core group and the strong stamp from Kuopio are the group's strengths at the moment. Everyone is pulling the same rope, and it's easy to be in the team. There are a lot of Kalpa products that have been with us since the beginning. We're not a buying team, but we value the club's logo. Everything Kalpa does exudes an aura of calmness, which also shines through the character of the head coach, Petri Karjalainen. It seems as if a meteorite falling into the middle of the rink would not upset Kalpa's team with good nerves. No excuses, no puffing, but raw work and confidence in one's own abilities. We kind of have that flow state, and everyone has good self-confidence. In the semifinals, Tappara will do their best to destroy that good spirit, and Oliver Kapanen is well aware of the experience in Tappara's group, but he still firmly believes in Kalpa. Both try to attack and keep the puck. We are sure to see some entertaining hockey. That's a great article, honestly. Like, I know I read most of it here, which is kind of just how it goes, since I think a lot of this information is pretty telling as to what Kapanen's personality is like. If you wanted to see just what's going on here, unfortunately for Kalpa, they are down 2-0 in the series so far, but having these Kalpa guys still at the top of the league in scoring in the postseason is noteworthy, and for Kapanen, a Montreal Canadiens prospect who has been thrusted into the top leadership role in this team, it's kind of refreshing to see that there are prospects overseas doing some really good work, and not just guys here in North America that are tearing things up. It's honestly kind of remarkable seeing a guy produce a ton of points, over a point per game, in the playoffs, in the most important stage of it all, whilst being able to maintain this really nice attitude. You can see it in the way he answers these questions. Oliver Kapanen believes in his team, he believes in his guys. Even though they're going up against the reigning champions, they're confident in their group, and they make it a point to acknowledge that, yeah, we haven't really added anybody. Like, this team is pretty much the same as when the season started, and they're pretty proud of that. So there's a good sense of loyalty here, and if that translates over to the Montreal Canadiens at some point in the future, then Habs fans, I think there's a very golden prospect that you can say they have in their system. And I say golden because that's a very particular thing they do in Finland, where the golden helmet, I think, is given to the guy who has the most points on the team, which is pretty great. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about the Montreal Canadiens' golden prospect, a guy that we haven't really talked about much in Oliver Kapanen, but who is still doing some very good work. If there is some sort of a Florian Xhekaj signing over the next few hours, then hey, I'll make a video about that too. I wanted to initially make this video actually about Xhekaj and Kapanen together, but then I was like, wait a minute, like, Xhekaj might sign, so it's going to be a little bit outdated to do that, and Kapanen has such a great article written about him, I want to read it, and it's going to take a while, so splitting things up like this I think was fine, especially now we're at the 10-minute mark, so I'll leave you with this. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about Oliver Kapanen. I hope you enjoyed this video, and bye.